Welcome back to the Big Red FB Schneid Show. I think we're going to start calling this the bar or behind the bar edition, Jim. But we're going to recap Nebraska's 21-17 loss against USC, talk some Dylan Raiola, TJ Lateef under center, and also talk about the Blackshirts and get you set for UCLA. Jim, how are you doing?
Doing good. It's been a nice, beautiful day. Good, should be good football weather again this weekend. And then they're going out to California for it. So,
Yeah, well, we're going to start talking about the offense. Of course, Dylan Raiola is out for the season. I know people were kind of wanting to see TJ Lateef in a big moment. He came in, and while he was able to utilize his legs, the overall command of the offense significantly dropped, and I partly think that's one of the reasons Nebraska lost this football game against USC.
well, yeah, it's really hard. I mean, he wasn't. You're always prepared if you're ready to come in theory. But I mean, the game plan wasn't written for him or anything else, and he doesn't get near the snaps that Dylan does. So.
And before we jump onto that, I almost forgot. Thank you guys so much for helping me reach my goal of 100 subscribers by November. I believe we're actually up to 106, so let's shoot for 200 by the end of the year. Why not? And shoot us a comment in the section below. Yeah, but when you think about TJ Lateef, yeah, he didn't have that full week of game plan, and that's why I'm so intrigued by what are we going to see this coming Saturday for a night kick at the Rose Bowl from a kid that grew up in California, has a week now to prepare as a starter, and I think that we're going to see some other things from Nebraska's offense that we haven't seen with Dylan Raiola.
Well, Dylan, and we're not going to all pile, or I'm not going to pile on Dylan at this point. I mean, the kid's quite a competitor and did a pretty good job for us and everything else, and even wanted to go back in even when he was hurt. But nevertheless, I think TJ is going to bring something different to the ball game and going to make it. Dylan being not as mobile as one would like for sometimes makes it hard for an offensive line, and TJ is going to take some pressure off that, being able to move around in the pocket, move around a little bit, maybe get out of the pocket, maybe force some linebackers to have to defend the run rather than just hang in there because he can't move. So
Yeah, I want to know your thoughts on this. And I know you're not a Scott Frost guy, you being a Nebraska fan, but when I was thinking about this, having a true freshman quarterback and thinking about what Scott Frost did in the Big Ten against opponents when he was head coach and had an efficient offense, he had a lot of split back looks. We've seen that with Dana Holgorsen a little bit, but you can do a lot of RPOs, throw it out to the tight end in the flat like a Lindenmeyer, read the defensive end, give it to Emmett Johnson, and now TJ can pull that. I think that's going to open up even more lanes for Emmett Johnson, who is also only the second running back right now in the nation with over 1,000 rushing yards, and the first Huskers since Divino Zigbo in 2018.
Well, we've been right. We've been. I'll take my blame for this. I've been harping on that offensive line all season long, and despite this not being the best blocking offensive line in the world, run block or pass block, CJ's been able to be a very productive running back for Nebraska. So.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's listed in the top 10 on a lot of draft boards. I think he's going to be gone after this year. I know this is actually his fourth year, but he redshirted his freshman year, and I really think he'd be a fool not to take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's tough anymore. The only thing that, well, not the only thing, but if they're going to have any type of NFL career, and time is money, and the life of a running back in the NFL is a couple, 3 years, not. I mean, the exceptions are the Herschel Walkers and those type of guys, and the Tony Dorsetts. May not even remember those, do you? But the durability.
I know who they are. I just wasn't alive.
You heard of them, yeah? You've seen pictures on the cave wall and stuff. So he's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, I was blanking my thought there, but we were. Shoot, I got sidetracked, and you were talking about. Oh, I also want to point out that you actually, not a hat tip to you, basically, because you were talking about in a previous show how Emmett Johnson doesn't allow defenders to tee off on him, and Matt Rule talking about his workload on Monday pretty much said the same thing you did, and how Emmett is so unique in evading defenders and finding a way to keep his pad level low. And I think that's why the longevity of Emmett Johnson is still critical. I do want to think about something and throw it out there. Terrible scenario for Nebraska, but if Emmett Johnson goes down, what does this offense do?
Well, every other offense out there has got the same problem. I mean, it's the end of the season. It's cold. Everybody's tired. Everybody's sore. Joints hurt. Um, Everything swells. I meant that in a good way. Um, it's tough. I mean, you're down some players this time of year. So I guess it depends upon, can TJ step up? Can if Emmett goes down, we're hopefully got some other people that can come in and play and still be effective.
Yeah, and here's some things Dana Holgerson said today that I thought were interesting. I mean, he flat out said, yeah, we're a run first team now, and everybody expects that. And one thing that's really interesting is you look at UCLA, actually. You look at UCLA, wherever I had that.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Oh, well.
Hang with me.
There it is. So UCLA is actually one of the worst teams in the country and last in the Big Ten in rushing yards allowed per game. Nearly 200. Getting the over on Nebraska rushing for 200 yards is very likely. I think they'll get above 250. I really do, especially with TJ Lateef. And I think that we will see some split back looks.
That'd be nice. It really would be nice. And Matt wants to be a run first team. I don't know that we have been all this year. So I guess I would disagree with a little bit of what he said. It's something that he wants to be. I don't know they have been so far.
Well, I mean, I think that it gets negated because, yes, they have a running back that is a superstar, future pro, probably going to be an All-American, definitely all Big Ten back, but he's the only guy that's really been producing. But I do think, who's a guy you could put beside Emmett Johnson and Lateef? I'm thinking of Mosey. I wouldn't even be shocked to see a guy like Ja'Cory Barney, a guy they've been wanting to get back in the offense more, seeing some option looks where you can even maybe do a shovel pass to Ja'Cory. Who knows? Maybe they just go with Mosey, Mekhi Nelson. I know Quentin Ives has pulled his hamstring, so he's probably out for, I'd say, the final 3 games after pulling a hamstring, and he wasn't even really playing much at all. But maybe even a Harburg.
Maybe they figure out how to get Harburg involved in the game a little bit more too, because this year I haven't seen a lot of, his main role I think so far this year has been blocking.
Well, I was thinking you could bring him, and I said this at the beginning of the season. I think I seen one play where they did it, and it was, I believe, Michigan State. No, or maybe it was Northwestern. And they had Harburg as a split back, and they lined him up to run crossbuck to kick out that in for Emmett Johnson, the run beside him. I think that's smart. Now, I don't know what they'll exactly do, but that's just something I was thinking. I mean, okay, you're down to your second string quarterback who's a true freshman. You have all the speed. You have Ja'Cory Barney. You have Isaiah Hunter. So you're still going to throw the football, but I like drag concepts, not swings, not screens. Drag concepts, getting your guys above the line of scrimmage, getting it to your speed quick, getting your guys like Luke Lindemeyer out there to block for him. I think that you will have some success as an offense.
Yeah, I don't think USC had quite a bit of speed on defense. I think UCLA offers some opportunities there. That in what you're saying, if you can get an Isaiah and you can get Ja'Cory in there and utilize their speed a lot more and get them in the game, get them involved in the game earlier, I think you've got some chances for success on offense, even with a second string, not so experienced quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, UCLA's defense, I mean, it's nothing special. Like, we were bringing up their rushing defense. Their passing defense is solid. They're actually, I believe, where was the passing defense right here? They're allowing 180 passing yards per game. Nothing too crazy, but they're solid. I mean, they're top 25 nationally, and especially with a true freshman quarterback. That's why I'm thinking Nebraska's going to Holgerson basically said that they're just going to try to run the football this week.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not the end of the world. Don't get me wrong. Dylan's a very important part of the team, but I remember being down to third string quarterbacks before, and there was a lot more talent, obviously, than getting down to Nate Turman. If you remember that, the Terminator. Nate. Yeah, Matt Turman. Yes.
I don't know where Nate came from.
I don't know either. I was thinking about it. Matt Turman, the kid couldn't even hardly see over the center's butt. And that was when they had Lawrence Phillips, which Lawrence Phillips carried the team. But it was just distribution of the ball. And if Lateef can do distribution of the ball, there's enough talent out there to carry this team in the offense that they have.
Well, here's something else to think about. Let's say one of the first quarter, first drive, they take a shot and he completes it. Holy shit, does that change the whole trajectory of the game, in my opinion? Because now you can have your receivers run down deep. that opens up its entire quarterback draw. Now we don't know with the tackle situations. Elijah Pritchett has been practicing this week. His status is up in the air if he's going to be able to full go on Saturday. So they might be down to Tyler Knack at right tackle, Turner Corcoran at left tackle. They have Preston Tumula and Grant Bricks, young guys that have been practicing. But that's another concern, especially when you have weak tackles. I'm thinking use your strength of your line, run the football, RTDB.
Yeah. So run it in between the tackles or on the outside is what you're saying.
I mean, I still think you can run some outside zone and stuff. And Emmett Johnson's so good at cutting stuff back, but at the same time, rely on your strength. I think last week we saw a lot of it where they bring in Cade Echternack, a tight end, motion him in to come in and block and kick out the end. And you saw some success there with Emmett Johnson running through the B and C gaps.
Yeah, what they were trying to do with against USC and throwing the quick outs, UCLA or USC ate him up. So that they're going to have to change that ball game a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think UCLA has the speeds that USC did.
I still think they have just as much, if not more, talent than Nebraska as a whole. I really do.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to argue that.
I think that Nebraska. I shouldn't say that. I think Nebraska is overall a better football team. I do that, but they're also an underdog for a reason. They're without their starting quarterback, and they're down to second and third string tackles. So that's huge. And when a team knows that, hey, stop 21, and we probably win this game. Emmett Johnson needs to have over 100 yards rushing for Nebraska to at least be in consideration to pull off the road win.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Nebraska's my biggest letdown overall this last week. I think Nebraska played about as good a football as their talent has. The one thing that really hurt them was the turnover and turnover. Bam, bam. You get some momentum. You're going to go up. Things are looking really good, and you give it right back.
Yeah. Well, I want to shift to the defense now, the Blackshirts, because you're saying you thought Nebraska played their best football. John Butler, defensive coordinator, also thought the Blackshirts played some of their best football this season, which I thought was actually interesting considering. I know, yes, they shut down Jaden Maeva. He was 9 of 23 for over only 135 yards, I believe. Actually, yeah, exactly there. Forced the interception with Andrew Marshall, but at the same time, you still allowed over 200 yards rushing, 10-plus yard runs. That's just not a winning formula, especially in the Big Ten. People can say what they want about Nebraska not allowing 400 yards of total offense, but at the same time, when you're allowing that many chunk plays on the ground, that's not a formula to win in this conference.
Probably not. On a positive note, though, and I think we need to go back to that, though, how about Archie? Did Archie perform again?
Yeah, he had that one kind of shank punt, but he did pin 2 inside the 20 once again. Now, my takeaway with the special teams from this football game was that did they make a game-changing play? No. Did Cal Kinana miss that field goal? Yes. But it was still just above an average performance, and you can't ask your special teams every week to go score you 7. I mean, it's ideal, but at the same time, in a marquee matchup last year, Nebraska special teams would have had a punt blocked, would have had a field goal blocked, dropped the snap on a field goal.
I don't see the special teams losing a game like they did last year.
And that's my exact point. But when you looked at 3-3-5 defense without national tie, we've talked about it on shows a repeated amount of times. What were you seeing? Because when I was in the press box watching this game, Nebraska's the lanes that they were opening up. I mean, you had your nose tackle at times here, and then you had your D end out there edge rushing like he was Von Miller from the Denver Broncos when he was in his prime, leaving up that giant hole for Vincent Shavers to fill that's nearly 5 yards wide.
I was kind of fascinated that with myself, thinking, what in the hell are they doing? Now, for the most part, it seemed like they called that defense when they were pretty confident on which way the ball was going to go. And it worked, but I don't quite understand that one.
Well, remember that drive in the second quarter, King Miller, 3 straight plays, had 3 10-plus yard runs, just constantly. And that's why, say what you want about Nebraska's defense, but at the same time, you don't have to national tie. I know everybody, we've talked about all year, we were expecting it in the offseason, but I think you have to go with 4 consistent D linemen, move Deshaun McCullough to the second level of the defense as a true outside linebacker. I think a 4-3 would benefit these Huskers a lot more, especially going up against Nico Amiava. I can't really say his name correctly. It's about the hardest thing I've ever pronounced. But he leads USC or UCLA in both passing. Of course, he's a quarterback, but rushing as well.
Yeah, I don't know much about his records. Let's take a look at him. Where are we at?
That's his rushing right there.
388 yards. That's not that great. He's not that much of a rate. But yards per carry, I mean, pretty opportunistic with 4.8. That's not bad.
Well, and Jada Maeva only had, I believe, 2 or 3 carries in the previous 2 games leading up to Nebraska. And let's see that. Last week he had 11 carries for 62 yards against the Huskers.
Yeah, looking at this too, and he stuck it in 4 times for a touchdown. It's pretty opportunistic. So with 4.8 and 4 TDs, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we expect the Blackshirts to shut down the passing attack. You shut down Jada Maeva for his worst game of the season. Shut down 2 standout receivers, Micaiah Lemon and Jacoby Lane. They only combined for 40 yards, which was incredible. But back to my point. Yeah, you're selling out to stop a pass against a team like this or whatever. What are we going to see this week? Because Nebraska did sell out to stop the run against Northwestern, and at the same time, they still allowed that 50-yard touchdown run. So at least they didn't allow the 50-yarder.
True. Didn't have the game killer like that.
The bend don't break defense was better. I got to give the Blackshirts that, and their secondary's playing elite, especially considering the fact that they got some pressures in the backfield, but they weren't. I don't think they had a sack.
That brought up.
They had one. There was 1 sack.
There was one thing we were worried about.
I'm sorry. There was 3 sacks.
I don't mean to be talking over you. There was one thing we were worried about last year, and that was USC's red zone efficiency versus Nebraska. I thought Nebraska did relatively well in comparison. They weren't dead.
No, I mean, you would like to see them force a field goal, but at the same time, you hold them to 21. But the thing is there's so many limited possessions when Nebraska plays because they want to control time possession. They did. So that's why I think sometimes the stat numbers can be skewed. Yes,
Scat number 2, yes, the shit on field.
So
yes.
that can be skewed a little bit. So, but you look at, so this is what's interesting about UCLA. They have where is it at? Nebraska's red zone defense is 17th in the Big Ten, allowing opponents to score nearly 95% of the time, while UCLA has the first ranked red zone offense in the Big Ten, scoring nearly 96% of the time. So I don't know if this bend don't break, especially with a mobile quarterback, a team that can run the football. They see that, get in the red zone. That's not something you like to see.
No, I do kind of worry about that. So what do we think we're going to have? We're going to have a high-scoring game then?
Actually, so the over-under right now. So UCLA opened up, I believe, as a 4.5-point favorite or whatever. It's right now at 2.5 favor in the Bruins. Over-under is 43.5. So they're not expecting it to be that high-scoring of a game. I'm curious, though, Jim. What do you think it's going to be?
I thought UCLA opened up as an underdog in this game.
No.
Huh. Well, that's pretty even. That's home field advantage, basically, is what they're talking about.
No, they're not going to have much. I think Nebraska will have the home field advantage. I guarantee.
Nebraska's going to travel pretty well, you think?
Well, there'll be more. No, UCLA don't put anybody in the stands.
Yeah, well.
And yes, Nebraska will travel well.
It's going to be tight. The biggest unpredictable that everybody's worried about is obviously Lateef and what Nebraska's offense is going to look like. That's the big unknown.
Yeah, and I think that's something we could see. We could see Nebraska, I think, winning this game by 10. I mean, Indiana throttled them, but UCLA goes out and throttles at Michigan State. They, of course, beat Penn State. They beat Northwestern. Or no, Northwestern beat them. I'm sorry. But UCLA's kind of caught its stride before getting thumped by Indiana, which Indiana's thumping everybody. But I want to know, Jim, when you look at Nebraska's season now as somebody that evaluates it, what do you consider a successful season? Does it change considering Dylan Raiola is out for the year?
No. Because the team is not one person. So I still think success is going to be 8 wins. So if they can get what they need, 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, and you could. Is that counting the bowl game?
No.
So Jim is saying 8-4. I I'd have to agree, considering last season you broke it to get to 6-6, won a game in November. Nebraska is now 0-1 in November once again. You got 3 games left against teams that are beatable, but also could beat you. I mean, and we know Penn State's on the downfall. UCLA is kind of a roller.
Penn State's got talent, though.
Yeah, exactly. They were preseason number 1 by many for a reason. Now, when I look at this game, I think that Nebraska is going to be able to run the football. I think Emmett Johnson has another day. I think I'm saying Lateef rushes for over 50 yards on the ground, but he is a true freshman. But at the same time, I think Nebraska imposes its will on offense so much that they're able to rush for, I'm calling for it, over 250 yards on the ground. TJ Lateef throws for under 100 yards.
Throws for under 100.
Throws for under 100 yards, but Nebraska rushes for 250 yards. They do enough. I have the Huskers beating the Bruins close, 24-21 out in the Rose Bowl. I'm curious, though, what do you have, Jim?
Oh, no. Lateef's going to throw for over 200.
You're going all.
I am. I think he throws for over 200, and Emmett Johnson's going to have over 100 yards rushing. And Lateef's going to come in there and add another 75. This is going to be a good offense.
Wow, that's a bold take.
I know. It's going to be a good offense. You cannot. Isaiah Hunter and Ja'Cory Barney and Luke and number 5.
You mean Dane Key, number 6?
Dane Key, number 6, yes. That's a lot of talent to throw to.
I mean, I could see it. I just think that I just don't expect
By
it.
golly, I'm kind of optimistic on this one, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. Hey, Jim loves a mobile quarterback.
I do.
So, well, what's your score prediction?
I think it's gonna be a higher scoring game than you do. I think you're gonna have to put up 30 points to beat UCLA. So I'm gonna put about a 34-28.
And who wins?
Nebraska wins that one.
Jim's taking Nebraska as well. Well, we'll be back next week to break down the UCLA game. Nebraska will be headed into the bye week, so we'll do a bye week special edition show. Probably have some brews behind the bar podcast episode. And be sure to once again like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And we appreciate you listening. We'll be back. For Bobby Schneider, this is Jim Parman signing off.
Go Big Red.